Courage.
Hi, Dorcas.
Hello, wonderful business owners. Welcome to our first, your personal and your partner business segment for 2024. With me, Dorcas, your host, and our guest, Courage, the HR officer from Smes. Thank you so much for joining us today, Courage. How are you doing?
Much I'm by Grace. I'm as well.
Can you please speak a bit audibly? We cannot hear you.
Okay, I'm going to talk about how you want to.
Okay. So today's topic is onboarding techniques for SME. So, Karen, can you tell us what is onboarding? Onboarding and what are the characteristics of a successful.
Please, Dorcas, can you repeat that again because your line is a bit
Okay.
shaky.
So, what is onboarding?
Oh, okay. All right. So when we talk of onboarding actually just like any employer seeking to retain its talents, okay. After recruiting, any employer may seek to retain its talent and also attain the best out of their newly recruited staff, okay, or the new joiners. So, in aim to do that, or for you to be able to do that, one of the critical strategies that employers have to seek or use is the onboarding. So onboarding basically is a strategy of acclimating or assimilating your new staff to the new departments they are joining, their colleagues, and the organization as a whole.
Okay, so what are the key elements of a successful onboarding for SMEs?
Okay, all right. So there are a couple of techniques that can be used when so far as onboarding. Okay, but then we are not limited to only those strategies or only those elements. So to begin, onboarding basically also can be in two folds, okay, which is the formal and the informal, right?
Yeah.
So the formal, as the name reads, okay, follows a particular structure of assimilating new employees, okay, into the organization. Whereas the informal, okay, only leave the new joiners to figure out things or okay, assimilate themselves into the organization, right? Now, there are some techniques that employers have to take notice of so far as onboarding is concerned. And then one of the critical techniques that they have to be concerned about is one, that is onboarding actually starts right away from the recruitment and the selection process. Okay, so once the recruitment and the selection process is ongoing, the panels, okay, or those in charge of the recruitment must take advantage of that by introducing what the organization seeks to do, what the organization is requiring from the candidates, and then also have the opportunity to answer any questions that the applicants or the candidates may put out there. Then from the recruitment and the selection, there is also the order of it, right? So during orientation, there should be a structured activities that have to take place so far as onboarding is concerned. But as we move along, we will delve into some of the activities that must take in place or must take place in the orientation section. Then again, the onboarding program, okay, must be tailored to a particular position.
Mm.
Okay, it must be tailored to a particular position. For example, onboarding program for an entry level will vary from onboarding program for a mid-level or a managerial role or a managerial position. Okay. And the timelines or the duration for these onboarding sessions may as well also vary based on the type of role or the type of position. And then it must also be aligned with the needs and then the objectives of the organization as well. What you seek to your culture must be incorporated during the onboarding session. Okay. Now, since we are focusing on the formal onboarding, okay, because of the nature of our discussion, we are only focusing on the formal onboarding. Now, the formal onboarding being structured, it follows a particular sequence, right? Because it is structured, it follows a particular sequence. And then the sequence or the stages of every onboarding program, okay, have its own element that comes with. For example, during the recruitment and selection phase of it, which might be or may be the phase one of the onboarding program, okay, may have some elements like communicating or sharing the culture or the shared value of the organization or the mission of the organization to the applicants, okay, and then also taking your time to explain to them for the first day. Maybe you will take the opportunity to give them their ID cards, their business cards, or maybe give them their emails or various needed accessories to perform their duties. That can be done on the first day, okay? And then you would also move on to maybe the second stage of the onboarding, where you will look at maybe week 2 or maybe the first week of the onboarding, where you will also structure or have some elements in there. Maybe during that time, you can take the new joiner, okay, to tour. You tour the person around the organization. You tour the person around the department. You introduce the person to, specific employees or, vital areas that the person needs to know. Okay, that can be done during the first week, right? And then we should be mindful that all these activities should not only be done by the HR department alone. You need to be assisted by supervisors, assisted by the colleagues of the new joiner, and sometimes, depending on the role or depending on the position of the role, okay, or the particular type of position that you are onboarding a person for, maybe you may decide to bring a director or an executive or a business member to assist the orientation process. With that said, moving to phase 3 of the onboarding process, have maybe the first month of the new joiner. Okay, so during the first joiner, the first month of the new joiner, okay, that one also has its own elements in there, right? So elements like maybe the HR policies, maybe the HR handbook, maybe styles that the new joiner needs to know about the organization, maybe the organogram or the organizational structure of the organization, okay, must be assimilated or must be acclimated to the new joiner or the new employee. With that said, we can also go ahead and then look at maybe the fourth phase or the fourth stage of the onboarding, which can maybe be the second month and beyond. Okay, the second month and beyond. Okay, so with the second month and beyond, can have a look at the review sessions. Okay, review sessions of the onboarding. It can have a look at, objective setting for the new joiner or KPI setting for the new joiner. What is expected of the person on the job? What are they required to do? What do they need to do? Maybe on that period, you can provide to them mentors. You can provide to them buddies who may guide them during that period to get them more acquainted and assimilated to the organization. So basically, these are some of the elements that as an employer or as an HR personnel onboarding yourself, you have to watch out for or look out for, but not limited to only these elements. There are several of them. So those few things that I've mentioned are actually some of the elements or some of the key things that HR officers should watch out for, look out for during onboarding programs or activities.
Wow.
But not limited to those elements alone.
Okay. Okay. So I was asking some process during calling and then giving necessary tools to do their job. What do you think are some of the common pitfalls SMEs
All
can
right.
avoid in the onboarding process? And
All right.
any
So,
steps to avoid these pitfalls?
okay. All right. Awesome. So when it comes to onboarding, there are some pitfalls that SMEs or employers have to be guided of. Okay, one is we have to avoid unstructured onboarding. Onboarding always have to be structured. There should always be a checklist for onboarding, making sure you do due diligence to all the various strategies, all the various activities handed over or should not be facilitated or coordinated by unprofessionals or untrained employees. Whoever is in charge or whoever has been left to coordinate onboarding should be someone who is trained, well versed, okay, in that regards to do the onboarding. That's another pitfall, another thing that they have to look out for. Okay, and then there is this assumption that SMEs have to also look out for or be watchful or guided about. That is the assumption that experienced new employees, okay, are good enough to assimilate themselves into our organizational settings or culture. That is not true. Okay, regardless of their experiences that they may acquire from other organizations before joining your organization, you don't need to incorporate your belief, your goals to them, get them acquainted, and then flow with your beliefs, if I may say. All right. So these are some of the few pitfalls of onboarding that SMEs and employers must be guided of. Okay.
Can you tell us SMEs that uh, new hires feel welcome? How SMEs can feel that new hires feel welcomed and integrated from one?
Okay, all right. Thanks for that question, Dorcas. It is imperative and very necessary for SMEs or maybe employers to ensure that new hires or new generation. So, as I was saying, with all the affirmation strategies that I've mentioned, okay, or elements that I've stated, okay, if duly followed, will aid any new joiner to feel welcome in any organization. With that said, or however, I also feel that it's about time that SMEs and employers also take a bit to look at the digitization aspect of doing things. Okay, that is putting aside a bit the traditional way of onboarding. Okay, so when I say the digitization aspect of it, maybe you can have training session virtually. You can have let's say onboarding sessions also have to be fun. There should be that sort of fun. Okay, fun stuff in onboarding activities. So maybe, for example, a new joiner have joined your organization, okay, formally or traditionally, you realize that employers will give new joiners a lot of paperwork to do, right? Will give you a lot of paperwork to do by answering and ticking a lot of boxes, answering a lot of questions, which sometimes can be boring and tedious. So
Yeah.
moving, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. You can hear you.
So moving your onboarding to the digital aspects, okay, helps a lot. Maybe you have employee portals, okay. Maybe you have e-learning platforms, okay. So training materials and resources can be shared on these platforms that will help the new joiners wherever they are to acquaint or train themselves, okay, train themselves in that regard, okay. So doing some of these things, I think should make any new joiner or new employee feel welcome in your organization.
Right. I was asking, how do you think that they are onboarding cost effective with quality?
Okay, all right. So onboarding programs, okay, or activities can be held or can be done, okay, or cost effective. But then you can also do it in that way without compromising on the qualities. Okay. So just as I mentioned earlier on, so some techniques, some onboarding techniques like digital transformation, just as I mentioned, by having employee portals, having e-learning platforms, okay, that you have these automated materials which already exist.
Right.
So there is no need you creating materials or you creating resources all the time whenever new joiners join organization, right? So you have all these things in place, and when you use a digital transformation, it reduces cost a lot. It becomes cost effective, and then also you can also standardize. You have to standardize the onboarding. So by standardizing the onboarding, it follows a particular sequence. There is a structure that you always follow.
Right. Quality. It's the courage. Let's hear from you.
Just as you asked, onboarding programs or activities can be done with being less costly or with cost effective. Okay, but regardless, I think being less costly, okay, it can still be less costly, but still you won't be able to still have the quality that you are looking out for, okay, or at the end of the period still be able to attain the arc goal that you ought to attain, okay, right. So there are series or various techniques or various elements that can be used, okay, during onboarding activities or program that can make it more cost effective, okay. All right. So an activity, just as I mentioned earlier on, that is the digitalization aspect of it, okay, digital transformation, okay. So moving away from the traditional way of doing things, the paper way of doing things, and then incorporating the digital aspect of it into onboarding. That is having employee portals, having
Right.
e-learning. Am I audible? So having e-learning platforms that can have materials, that can have resources that are needed for that particular onboarding, right? So we're doing this onboarding can be less costly, or you can maintain a cost-effective onboarding. And then also standardization, okay? Standardization your onboarding program or activities. If it follows a structure, okay, it makes it more cost effective. That is, it takes away the paperwork out of it, okay, because it follows a particular sequence. And then again, you can have the pre-boarding, okay.
Right.
Now, when you say the pre-boarding have to do with sharing materials with your new highs even before they accept your offer or even before they join you on the first day. So you share, maybe you can share the HR handbook with them. You can share series of materials or resources that you think may be needed or aid your onboarding activities. That can be done, okay, prior to them joining your organization. And then you can also give them mentors, or you can also give them people to shadow them. Okay, you can give them people to shadow them. That will save time. Okay, so there are things that those mentors can train them. Okay, can train them to, without you, maybe the hiring manager or maybe you, the employer, having more time or spending more time to do, because you have people who are already trained that. And then with that said, you can also do outsourcing. You can outsource. Maybe there are activities that maybe you don't have specialized people to do those onboarding activities for you. So you can outsource for people who are harnessed in those areas or who are harnessed in those aspects to train for you as well. Okay, and then you can also incorporate the visual
Hello,
onboarding.
Mr. Car-
Am I audible?
yes. Okay.
Okay, so you can also have the visual onboarding, right? That is, you shouldn't always expect your newly hires or your newly staff to always be in person before you are able to assimilate them or acclimate them into your organization. It can be done virtually, right? It can be done remotely. So regardless of wherever they are, you will be able to engage with them and then also train them or onboard them in your organization. All these techniques or all these things, when done, can help or aid SMEs and then recruiters attain effective, cost efficient and effective onboarding. Yeah, sure. The final point I made featured that, right? That is the outsourcing part of it. Okay, so I think I also raised a few points there. I mean, uh, pitfalls, some pitfalls that SMEs have been doing when it comes to onboarding. All right, that is leaving onboarding activities and programs to unprofessional or untrained personnel, okay, or employees to handle for them. Okay, it can be very dangerous. That is, onboarding programs or activities you must be as an SME, as an employer. Okay, you must be particular intentional about your onboarding programs, because it goes all a long way to affect your overall. If you do not get
Hello,
the
Mr. Courage. The
yeah,
network
can you
is
hear?
terrible.
Is it better now?
Yes, yes, it's better.
Okay, all right. So I was saying that SMEs, okay, have to be intentional and particular about their onboarding programs, okay, because it goes a long way to affect your overall organizational goal, right? Because if you are not able to assimilate the new joiners well into your organization, okay, to get their bits to go by your set objective, or what you believe as an organization, or what you intend to achieve at the end of the day. If you don't get their buy-in, it will be very difficult for them to perform. So with that said, I think OML Africa, it's there, it's available to support and assist SMEs who do not have qualified, who do not have skilled personnel to onboard their new joiners. Okay, so we have services that may aid SMEs, okay, to liaise with us to outsource professionals and qualified trained HR officers,
Yes.
okay, to train and then onboard their new hires, or assimilate and acclimate their new hires into their organization.
So much, Mr. Courage. This has been so insightful. So, you are saying that onboarding processes should be structured on trained of employees. look at the same thing, the digitalization of assets, onboarding, like during 2020, started with onboarding to reduce costs, and also finance can ease employers onboard for them with cost, not worry about this is also thank you so much for joining. Do you have any questions?
Okay, all right. So one more last thing I will add, okay, that with all these elements, okay, and strategies that we've mentioned how to, okay, um it cannot be effective if you do not also evaluate the onboarding process. So at the end of the period, there should be review sessions. There should be evaluations. Okay, that will measure some key metrics based on your organizational need at the time. Okay, so a key metrics like maybe the performance of the new joiner, the performance of the department that the new joiner is joining. You can measure retention threshold. You can measure retention. Yes, as I said, retention threshold and what have you. So there should be evaluation after all these onboarding process has been done. By doing that, you will be able to know areas that maybe you fall short. Maybe you would also be able to find out which other strategies, which other activities that you should be able to bring in, or you should adjust to make your onboarding more effective. By so doing, I think SMEs, every organization who can follow these elements or these strategies, okay, should be good so far as onboarding is concerned.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Carter. Yes, we are so grateful for joining us today. Um, you can check other sessions on our page on Africa, and then